On March 1, 2024, 26-year-old truck driver Sydney Thomas was crossing the 2nd Street Bridge, just another routine drive. But in seconds, everything changed. A pickup truck swerved into her lane, causing a violent crash. Her semi was pushed to the edge, left hanging over the Ohio River. For nearly 40 minutes, she remained trapped inside, suspended above the water. She believed she was going to die and even thought about unbuckling her seatbelt and jumping. But instead, she stayed calm, relying on her military training, and waited for help. Firefighters eventually arrived and pulled her to safety. The pickup driver was later charged with multiple counts. Sydney survived and returned to driving. On April 29, 2013, near Bagram Air Base, a dashcam captured a moment that turned deadly within seconds. A Boeing 747-400 had just taken off, heading toward Dubai. On board were 7 crew members and over 200 tons of cargo, including heavy military vehicles known as MRAP. At first, the climb looked normal. Then suddenly, the aircraft pitched upward at a steep angle, lost lift, and stalled. Within seconds, it dropped nose first and slammed into the ground, exploding on impact. During takeoff, one of the improperly secured MRAP vehicles broke loose. It tore through critical systems, leaving the pilots with no control. All 7 crew members were killed. Investigators later confirmed the cargo was not properly secured. One mistake, caught on camera, ended everything. This footage was recorded from a pickup truck in Chile. The driver had just entered a highway turnaround when the car ahead slowed, then stopped. Suddenly, the door opened. 2 men stepped out, one holding a handgun. The driver tried to reverse, but another car had already blocked him in. No way back, so he went forward. He accelerated, slammed into the car ahead, and forced his way through onto the highway. The impact barely slowed him down. Later, the footage was given to police and shared online. Within days, the real owner of the suspect vehicle came forward. It had been stolen earlier. Investigators believed the men were attempting a carjacking using a stolen car. The driver escaped because he didn't hesitate. On August 18, 2020, Tyler Day was driving through Napa County along Highway 128 when he suddenly found himself inside a wildfire. The blaze was part of the LNU Lightning Complex fire, which had started just a day earlier after thousands of lightning strikes during a record heat wave and strong winds. By then, it was already completely out of control. Through his dashcam, the road disappears into chaos. Flames rise on both sides of the highway, trees collapse onto the road, the asphalt begins to melt under the heat. Smoke turns daylight into near darkness. Tyler keeps driving forward, through burning debris and almost zero visibility, because turning back is not an option. He eventually escapes alive, but the fire he passed through would go on to kill 6 people, injure several others, burn for 45 days, and destroy over 350,000 acres. This dashcam footage, originally shared by a user on Reddit, begins like a normal ride. A driver picks up passengers. Nothing seems unusual. Then, without warning, The man in the front seat suddenly grabs the steering wheel. He yanks it hard, trying to force the car into an oncoming truck. The driver reacts instantly, fighting for control and stopping just before impact. The man jumps out and runs. The driver steps out, briefly chases him, then returns to the car. Everything was caught on camera. It's believed to have been an attempted insurance scam, but inside the vehicle were a woman and children. One sudden move could have killed them all. The driver's reaction is the only reason they survived. In early January 2016, Christopher Telford was driving through Lancaster, testing a newly mounted camera to capture the countryside. As he traveled at around 60 mph, he crested a blind hill and suddenly saw a BMW in the opposite lane, overtaking another vehicle and heading straight toward him. There was no hesitation from the BMW. It appeared to accelerate, trying to beat the closing gap. Christopher hit the brakes, but the car lost traction, sliding sideways before crashing into a wall and flipping onto its side.
Well, that was scary. Dear. I'm uninjured.
Despite the violent impact, his Toyota Yaris absorbed most of the force. He managed to escape with only minor injuries, an outcome that could have been far worse if the timing or speed had been even slightly different. On June 20th, 2023, a truck driver was heading east on Highway 401 when a fuel tanker ahead suddenly drifted out of its lane and slammed into the center median. Within seconds, it erupted into a massive fireball that spread across the highway. The dashcam driver brakes just in time, while another car narrowly escapes the flames. Despite the intensity of the explosion, no one was seriously harmed. The highway remained closed for hours, leaving behind a moment that shows how quickly a routine drive can turn into chaos. A family was driving home along the Interstate 10 near Beaumont when the night sky suddenly lit up. A bright streak appeared overhead, growing more intense with every second. Drivers ahead began slowing down, distracted by the strange glowing trail. Then, without warning, chaos broke out. Several cars in the left lane failed to stop in time and slammed into each other, triggering a chain reaction crash. The family managed to swerve away just in time, avoiding the collision.
Wow, what is that?
It's a rocket.
No, but the thing is, it broke.
Whoa!
It broke.
Ah!
Oh shit. Oh shit, this guy is not paying attention, man.
Damn!
Damn. Thank God.
Despite the impact, everyone involved survived with only minor injuries. The cause of the distraction was later identified as a SpaceX Falcon 9 launch, carrying satellites into orbit, its exhaust illuminated by sunlight, turning an ordinary night drive into a dangerous moment. This family was approaching a red light in Albuquerque when a pickup truck suddenly cut across their path, driving straight over the pavement. Moments later, the driver jumped out and ran. The father, shaken, stopped at the intersection and called 911, but instead of leaving immediately with his wife and child, he stayed longer than he should have. Then a silver car arrived. A man inside stepped out holding a gun.
He has a gun! Oh shit. Babe, he has a gun!
Panic spread through the vehicle as the family realized what was happening. They tried to drive away, but their movement brought them closer to the danger. Gunshots followed. Caught in the middle of a sudden crossfire, the situation turned critical in seconds. The father managed a sharp turn and escaped, while his wife reported everything to emergency services in real time.
God, please, there's somebody shooting over here!
there was a wreck.
At 4th
Oh
and
my
Bridge.
God,
They're shooting people.
4th and Bridge, there's a guy with a gun.
There's two different people. One guy had an AK-47, the other guy was shooting with...
Later, it was revealed the pickup truck had been stolen, and the armed man was the owner chasing it down. A woman was driving down a quiet rural road when she came across a group of men illegally dumping trash along the roadside, blocking her path. She stopped and confronted them, but the situation shifted immediately. One of the men noticed her dash cam, and the group quickly became aggressive. Realizing she had just exposed herself, she accelerated and fled the scene.
What do you think you're doing? It's illegal dumping rubbish. What do you think you're doing?
This is fine. It's fine. Hey, stop. Got a camera. Got a camera. Give me your camera.
Get off! Get
camera.
off! Get off!
The camera.
Get
The
off!
camera.
Get off!
Hey.
God, for God's sake! God's sake!
The men attempted to follow, but she managed to escape before they could catch up. The footage captured everything, including their faces and the illegal dumping in progress. Despite severe weather warnings, trucker Carl Bayer was driving through Horsham when his dash cam captured him stopping at a red light in near-zero visibility. Heavy rain was pouring, reducing everything to a blur. Then, in an instant, conditions changed. A tornado tore through the area, ripping across the road ahead and damaging power lines while violently shaking his truck. Within seconds, the storm intensified further, lifting and flipping his trailer onto its side.
Repeating, the tornado warning has been allowed to expire for the following counties in Pennsylvania, Delaware, Montgomery, and Philadelphia. Flood stage is 9.0 feet. Moderate flooding is forecast. Other minor roadways are affected. Water begins to enter some basements. Impact at 10.0 feet. Evacuation. Impact at 14.0.
Despite the force of the impact, his seatbelt held him in place, and he survived with only minor injuries. In this footage, the blame falls entirely on the dashcam driver. While his girlfriend slept in the passenger seat, he also drifted off behind the wheel. At first, the truck stayed steady, then it slowly began to drift. Within seconds, it veered off the road. He woke up just in time, grabbing control of the wheel and steering the vehicle back before it turned into a fatal crash. Both of them survived without injuries, a moment that shows how quickly fatigue can turn into a life-threatening mistake. This footage, recorded in October 2014, shows a driver moving along a dark, empty road late at night. Up ahead, a car sat motionless in the middle of the road with its hazard lights flashing. The driver carefully passed it, but just moments later, something even more unsettling appeared. A man was walking down the center of the road, pushing a baby stroller. As the car slowed, the man began moving toward them, step by step, getting closer. Sensing danger, the driver immediately shifted into reverse, but the man didn't stop. He kept approaching. Then suddenly, he broke into a run. The driver accelerated backward, putting distance between them until the man disappeared into the darkness. To this day, no one knows what his intentions were. Some believe it may have been a setup. Similar tactics have been reported in places like Corpus Christi. Whatever the truth was, leaving immediately may have saved their lives. A van driver was cruising along a quiet country road in the United Kingdom when a green Bentley suddenly sped past him and brake-checked him without warning. Instead of reacting, the van driver kept his composure and continued forward, but the situation didn't end there. Moments later, the Bentley overtook him again, this time forcing him to a complete stop in the middle of the road. The driver stepped out, furious. He marched up to the van and started banging aggressively on the window. When he was ignored, he went back to his car, opened the trunk, and pulled out a baseball bat. Then he returned.
Yeah.
Standing just inches away, he swung the bat in a threatening manner before taking out his phone and snapping a photo of the van's license plate. The reason behind his sudden rage remains unknown, and it's unclear if he was ever held accountable. A driver was traveling along a rural road in northern Ontario when something unbelievable appeared ahead. A white truck was sitting on the roof of a house. Moments earlier, it had veered off the road, struck a driveway culvert, and launched into the air. The force carried it into a hydro pole, lifting the rear before the entire vehicle crashed down onto the rooftop. Despite the chaos, no one was inside the house at the time. Even more surprisingly, both occupants of the truck survived without injuries. The road was later shut down for hours as crews worked to bring the vehicle back down. A dashcam driver was traveling on a highway in San Bernardino when a red Mercedes suddenly came speeding up from behind. It overtook him aggressively from the right, moving far too fast. Seconds later, everything fell apart. The Mercedes slammed into the left guardrail, spun out of control, and then crashed into the right side. Almost instantly, flames erupted from the wreckage. The car came to a stop on the shoulder, burning.
Dude, what the fuck? Oh my God.
The dashcam driver pulled over, trying to help. Inside were 4 young men, but before anything could be done, they all jumped out and ran, abandoning the burning vehicle behind. What they left inside raised serious suspicion, but their identities and what happened next remain unknown. The driver was simply heading to work, just another normal morning on the highway in Subang Jaya. Then suddenly, everything changed. In the distance, a massive fireball erupted into the sky, rising fast, forming a terrifying mushroom cloud of flames. It looked unreal, like something out of a disaster movie. The footage was captured on April 1st, 2025, at exactly 8:08 in the morning, near Putra Heights. What the driver was witnessing was the aftermath of a catastrophic gas pipeline explosion operated by Petronas. Within seconds, the blast sent flames shooting nearly 30 meters into the air, turning the surrounding area into a scene of chaos and panic. In total, around 150 people were injured, but somehow, against all odds, no lives were lost. The driver was heading to a client's house in South Africa when he suddenly came across a herd of elephants crossing the road. He stopped at a safe distance, thinking he had given them enough space. But without warning, one elephant turned and charged straight at his truck. Within seconds, it slammed into the front of the vehicle with massive force, crushing it completely. Miraculously, the driver wasn't injured, but one wrong move and the elephant could have easily flipped the entire truck. This driver in Australia encountered a clearly intoxicated man who stepped into the middle of the street and refused to move, completely blocking traffic. The man began flipping off the driver and ignored repeated honking, standing there as if daring him to react. As tension grew, nearby bystanders started noticing the situation. When the driver honked again, the man suddenly slammed his fist onto the car's hood and began shouting insults.
Yeah, there's a camera. See, hey, Mike, hey, fuck off from road. No, leave it, don't worry.
Stumbling around the vehicle and making threats while refusing to let the driver pass. The situation dragged on for several minutes, turning into a tense standoff. Eventually, bystanders stepped in and pulled the man away, finally allowing the driver to escape. This driver was cruising along a highway in Australia just moments after overtaking a fuel truck when disaster struck without warning. A tree on the right side of the road suddenly tipped over, sending heavy branches directly toward the windshield. The impact was immediate and violent. The glass shattered on contact, spreading cracks across the entire windshield in an instant. Fortunately, the windshield held together and absorbed the force. If it had failed, the debris could have struck the driver directly. Shaken but unharmed, he pulled over moments later to process what had just happened.